Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Dominic and I'd like to welcome you all to the second episode of Spotlight Game of Thrones, the series in which we take a look at some of the characters who feature in the A Song of Ice and Fire novels but are yet to be seen on the hit HBO show. So if you love Game of Thrones and you want to know more about the world and its characters outside of the TV show, you've come to the right place. Now on today's episode we'll be focusing on none other than Victarion Greyjoy, Lord Captain of the Iron Fleet, younger brother to both Balon and Euron Greyjoy, elder brother to Aeron Greyjoy, the Damp Hair, and uncle to Reek, or the Greyjoy formerly known as Theon. But before we get into all things Victarion, let's take a brief delve into the history of House Greyjoy, for theirs is the Iron Price. Now House Greyjoy of Pike is one of the great houses of Westeros and rulers of the Ironborn, a seafaring people of raiders and reavers. Their sigil is a golden kraken on a black field and their words are, "We do not sow." The Greyjoys rule over the Iron Islands, a dismal and punitive archipelago located in the Sunset Sea off the western coast of Westeros. Now the Greyjoys claim their descent from a legendary figure from the Age of Heroes known as the Grey King, a man said to have ruled for over 1,000 years and to have taken a mermaid to wife. Now throughout their history, the Greyjoys have made a habit of rising up against their fellow lords on the Westerosi mainland, longing to return to their ancient customs of ruling themselves, raiding and reaving along the western coastlines. However, since subjugation at the hands of Aegon Targaryen and his dragons, all subsequent attempts at rebellion have been quelled, with the most recent being the ongoing uprising that began with the War of the Five Kings. So now that we're up to date, let's talk Victarion, shall we? Our first real insight into Victarion is in the book A Feast for Crows in the chapter The Iron Captain. He is described therein as having hair flecked with hoarfrost, being as strong as he had ever been, with a bull's broad chest and a boy's flat belly. He is known to go into battle with a kraken-shaped helm and a cruel axe. Quite humorously, author of the novels George R.R. Martin describes Victarion as being dumb as a stump and a dullard and a brute. Now despite this, Victarion is a force to be reckoned with in battle and a capable commander. He is shown to have a rather twisted and precarious sense of honour, but a sense of honour nonetheless. We'll get into that soon though. Now Victarion served his brother Balon, whom he admired and respected during the Greyjoy rebellion against the newly crowned King Robert Baratheon. It was in this uprising that he was named by his brother as commander of the Iron Fleet, where he commanded the flagship Iron Victory and put Lord Tywin Lannister's fleet to the torch while it was at anchor in Lannisport. Later in the rebellion, however, the Iron Fleet was smashed by Stannis Baratheon during a sea battle off Fair Isle, something that still plays heavily on Victarion's mind. The loss of the Iron Fleet at Fair Isle allowed King Robert Baratheon to land in the Iron Islands and put an end to the Greyjoy rebellion. Now sometime after the end of the rebellion, a thing happened that has come to define the character of Victarion. You see, his third wife, who is yet to be named in the books, was either raped or seduced by his elder brother Euron, the Crow's Eye, and subsequently became pregnant with his child. Victarion, unable to endure this slight on his quote-unquote honour, proceeded to beat his wife to death with his fists. He remembers sobbing each time he struck her, and afterwards he carried her down to the rocks to give her to the crabs. He thinks to himself that, had it been known, men would have laughed at me, as the Crow's Eye laughed at me when I confronted him. She came to me wet and willing, he had boasted. It seems that Victarion is big everywhere, but where it matters. Victarion has never forgiven his brother Euron for what he did, and the only reason that he didn't kill him was because the Kinslayer is accursed in the eyes of gods and men. Victarion at one point says to his niece Asha, "He put a baby in her belly and made me do the killing. I would have killed him too, but Balon would have no kingslaying in his hall. He sent Euron into exile, never to return." You see, it is because of this that Euron was banished by Balon Greyjoy, never to return while Balon lived. However, when Balon died, Euron returned, and Victarion, who had taken Moat Cailin at the behest of his brother Balon during the War of the Five Kings, leaves a token force behind in order to return to the Iron Islands and claim the Sea Stone chair. Now despite having a solid claim and giving a decent enough speech at the King's Moot, Victarion is no match for Euron's charisma and pageantry, and he is made to watch as the brother whom he believes is responsible for his wife's death is crowned King of the Iron Islands. Victarion, being loyal to a fault despite his misgivings about his brother, follows him in earnest. He leads Euron's plan to take the Shield Islands, doing so successfully, losing only 6 Ironborn ships but capturing 38. It is in this invasion that he also wins a duel with Sir Talbot Serry, however he wounds his hand in the fight. Victarion is then summoned by his brother Euron and made aware of Euron's scheme to marry Daenerys Targaryen. He sends Victarion to deliver his marriage proposal and tells him that he will have the Sea Stone chair once Euron claims the Iron Throne. He also gives Victarion the Horned Dragonbinder, a Valyrian Hellhorn, said to have the ability to control dragons. Victarion agrees, but in reality, his plan is to take Daenerys for his own wife. Euron also gives Victarion a mute bedwarmer known only as the Dusky Woman. She is the first woman that Victarion takes to bed since he murdered his wife, and he also brings her aboard his Iron Victory, eventually confiding in her his innermost thoughts. Victarion's Iron Fleet sets sail for Meereen in search of Daenerys Targaryen, and on this voyage he discovers a Red Priest of R'hllor clinging to a wreckage out at sea. This priest is called Moqorro, being over 6 feet tall with skin as black as pitch and pure white hair that grows from his face like the mane of a lion. Although he is wary of the priest at first, Moqorro uses magic to heal the hand Victarion wounded during his duel with Sir Talbot Serry. Despite the concerns of his crew who fear Moqorro, Victarion comes to rely upon his counsel more and more, trusting the visions Moqorro sees in the flames. Victarion even sacrifices the ship's maester, Maester Kerwin, at Moqorro's behest, as the priest assures him that this will bring about good winds. Moqorro informs Victarion that in order to bind Daenerys' dragons to his will, he will need to claim the Horned Dragonbinder with blood. And this is where we leave off with Victarion Greyjoy, the Iron Captain. From some stuff that we've seen from the Winds of Winter, we learn that the Iron Fleet arrives in Meereen's Bay just as the second siege of Meereen is about to begin, but that is a story for another time. Thank you all so much for watching this second episode of Spotlight Game of Thrones. I'll be releasing new episodes every Friday, so be sure to subscribe to the channel in order not to miss out. If you enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button down below and share among your friends. Thank you again for taking the time. I'll see you again next week.